Welcome to the Solid Verbal.
The Solid Verbal.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
I've heard so many players say, well, I want to be happy. You want to be happy for a day? Eat a steak.
It's that woo woo.
And now, Dan and Ty.
Welcome back to the Solid Verbal, boys and girls. I'm Ty Hildebrand. He is Dan Rubenstein, solidverbal@gmail.com. As always, that is our email address. Don't forget you can find us out on iTunes at itunes.com/solidverbal. We're on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat. Dan, getting a lot of messages right now on Snapchat.
Nice.
I've been responding to
weird
them.
ones?
Both good and weird. I'd say more good than weird, and I've been responding. I haven't been doing the whole like picture message or video message thing. That might be the next frontier, but for now anyway, I've been trying to be more communicative, and I've been offering text, written responses to people.
Well, you're very of this era, Ty. You are very modern.
I am, yes.
No, all sorts of fun ways. I get from Verballers sometimes, too, to the SB Nation CFB account, which is where I do Easy Call every day. I have to do one tonight, don't I? And everybody's super encouraged, and that's great.
So what's up, man? We got week 9.
And before we get into it, Ty, I just want to tell you that with all of these huge matchups and all of these really big picks that we have in front of us.
Oh, huge.
I'd like to remind you that you've earned it, Ty.
Yeah?
You've put in the work day to day to day, no days off for you, and you are ready for this. This is something that you are bigger than this moment, Ty, and you have to believe it.
Is that Eminem?
No, that is just me to you, human to human, friend to friend.
That was poetic, Dan.
This is, Ty, laser focus. You have this.
I thought you were doing
No.
lyrics.
No, this is just me telling you. Get into that headspace, Ty, because you own this moment.
All right. Well, you too. Thank you. That's quite a pep talk.
I watched Dino Babers once, and I'm ready to roll.
Week 9 is looking pretty meaty, if I'm being honest here. I was going through, and my friend, if you've got a thing for home dogs, this is a week for you.
Yeah, it is.
This is a week for you. Got a bunch of home dogs. The only issue, as I see it, is picking the correct style of home dog. Because you got options, right?
True.
You got options. You might not like your dog boiled or in the microwave or even grilled. You gotta
or in a crock pot.
Or in a crock pot, right? You gotta pick the kind of home dog that you're fancying this week in week 9. I don't have any breaking news in front of me unless you do.
I don't believe I do, no.
I was gonna play the sound, but I kind of feel like it'd be a waste of time at this point. I'd like to dive right in and talk week 9.
Yeah, also, we are an on-demand show, so one person's breaking, maybe another person's ancient, and we have a lot of listeners that choose to wait and listen to our weekly previews until March or April, because that's when they really hit in the right way.
All right, let's get to games.
Dan, Ty, help. I need picks.
Help, I need picks of the week. I don't know how much help I can be.
This show is exclusively for billionaires who have too much money.
Yeah.
And need to sort of thin out that bank account. I have picks of the week.
If you're looking to thin out that savings account, I'm your guy. If you're looking to provide some winners and boost your bank ledger, then it'd be Dan Rubenstein. He's your guy.
Oh, 100%
at least
of the
this
time,
year.
I'm either right or wrong. Yeah.
12 p.m. on Fox. We got West Virginia. 4-point road favorite. Oklahoma State, potential home dog. I'm just saying.
They are officially a home dog. I don't know if they're the home dog, but they are definitely a home dog.
Here's my thing, okay?
Okay.
I was looking at this game. I spent all night last night. As you know, the Solid Wife's away on business. Mm-hmm. So I, being the nerd that I am, had inordinate quantities of time to just go through and look at all these games ad nauseum.
Yeah.
It is hard to look at West Virginia's defense and what it did against Texas Tech and not say to yourself, hey, if they could hold Tech to 17, they can hold anyone to 17, right?
Sort of. Week to week, things change, and there are injuries, and there are situations, there are styles of play and matchups. But yes, in a matter of reductive, not in a bad way thinking, if you can hold Texas Tech to 17 points, you are doing all sorts of things correctly on defense.
I'm not going to say that college football adheres to the laws of like open-ended transitivity, but you get my point.
Yeah, BYU scored, 31 on them? Something like that.
Absolutely. So, all right, the road team is dangerous. Last two meetings, the road team has won. Obviously, though, this is an extremely dangerous game for West Virginia. What is it when you look at this game, Dan, that stands out most to you?
One, the first thing was in looking at West Virginia's schedule, only one true road game. And that would be the Texas Tech win from a couple weeks ago, because I believe they had BYU at FedEx Field in D.C. So West Virginia not truly road tested at the moment. Neither are a number of other teams, including Michigan. And it's just the efficiency that West Virginia plays with on both sides of the ball. Skylar Howard is quietly creeping up to be a national conversation QB. He's probably a top 15 QB in the country right now. I don't think that's unfair to say. And West Virginia can... At the moment, it looks like they can 100% with Russell Shell run on Oklahoma State, just like Texas did a couple weeks ago, which is big news over the top for Skylar Howard. And really, the star of this receiving core is Da'Keel Shorts. So good news all around with the specific matchup. Oklahoma State's good on offense, but that's mostly through the air, and I don't know how much you can count on being one-dimensional against West Virginia. The defense is just sort of average, and I'm just going to roll with the hot hand. I'm going to roll with that smoke and musket, Ty.
Whoa.
Go ears 28-20, lock it up.
Whoa, early
Off
lock.
the bat.
Whoa.
Of the week.
That pep talk wasn't for me, son. It was for you. Saucy right out of the gate. Wow. Okay, I like it. I like it, Dan.
Have to be.
Statistically, it looks like the best way to beat either of these teams is on the ground. Mm-hmm. In which team are you more confident? If this result is dependent on a good ground game, I think I trust West Virginia. And
as do I.
Shell and what they've done just as a team on the ground.
Aliquippa-zone?
Yeah, in their last two games against Texas Tech and TCU, Russell, whichever version you prefer, he's gotten over 20 carries, and in both cases, West Virginia won by at least 24 points. That's balance, and that's helpful.
It is.
You also can't talk about this game without at least acknowledging Mason Rudolph and all the toys he has out wide with our boy Junkyard Jim and Jalen McCleskey. They've combined for over 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns this season, so it's not like they're any slouch. Junkyard Jim, our boy, averaging almost 20 a catch.
Yeah.
So it's not a small task for West Virginia, but it has been at least 2 weeks in a row now where we've got to see their secondary step up against a very good passing offense. And Rasul Douglas and Antonio Crawford, they've played well at corner. They've gotten a lot of production out of their safeties. I like West Virginia a lot. I'm not sure what their ceiling is, but it feels like each week we define a new one. And so I'm going to roll with a hot hand too. I don't quite look for, what'd you say, 28-10?
28-20.
28-20, okay. I was going to say
8-point win, yeah.
10 would be kind of nuts, but I say 38-28 West Virginia here. I'm not going to lock it up, but I'm feeling good.
Yeah, the big thing, too, is Oklahoma State has had to play from behind, and that sort of plays into West Virginia's hand. If you have to throw the ball even more, if you are a little bit more panicked, a little bit more pressed,
right. Sure.
The speed on West Virginia's defense plays into that really nicely.
All right, so we agree.
We agree!
3:30, CBS.
Mm-hmm.
At Everbank Field, a historic college football venue. This is the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, so it is called. It's going to be 82 and sunny down there, which...
I've been to this game. It's a great time.
The beer will be flowing like the salmon at Capistrano here. We've got Florida, a 6.5-point favorite. Over the Georgia Bulldogs, Dan, neither team played last week, and you look at the numbers here. I know you've been looking at numbers. You've been tweeting numbers out left and right. The numbers are all over the map on this game.
Yeah.
Our friends over at Massey Peabody, they say that Florida is 1 point better, neutral field. ESPN's FPI, they say it's about a touchdown. Mm-hmm. The S&P Plus is projecting a Florida win by 21. So there's a bit of a spread here. What matters, I think, is that they all expect Florida to win the game. They all say that Florida is the better team. I find it hard to not agree with that perspective. I do believe Florida will win. To me, it comes down to a matter of the point spread. And since that's the context in which we frame all of these games, Dan, I will throw it to you, and I will ask, to what degree are you spooked by Georgia's, I think, inconsistency across the board from game to game?
Not spooked. I've just accepted it. Georgia plays good defense, and that's sort of gotten lost in their offensive struggles, particularly on the line. Both of these defenses, I mean, Florida's in particular, Florida's defense is the clear strongest thing in this game. They both get off the field pretty efficiently. Both around 25% of all defensive snaps they get off are converted first down. So that's a nice little number for both of these teams. The Florida offense is fine. I'm not a big believer in Luke Del Rio, but he's serviceable. Florida is, I believe, and I hope this isn't wrong, one of two teams to have doubled up their opponent's score in every game but one this season. So
that's like the new 19 right there.
It's the new 19. It's Florida, outside of the Tennessee game, have at least doubled up their opponent's score, as has Washington outside of the Arizona game. So Florida's offense, even though it hasn't been the most electric as compared to older Florida offenses, has been efficient enough against some down competition. Georgia struggled with Missouri. Georgia obviously struggled with Vanderbilt. Jacob Eason, even with that Tennessee game, even with those big throws, he's been pretty average in October. And I think to beat Florida, you have to have the type of performance that Josh Dobbs had in the second half of that game. And I just don't see it in a true freshman playing in his first game in Jacksonville. As high as his ceiling is, I like Florida here by a couple touchdowns. I'm going to say 28-14 Gators.
By the way, I just broke a blue pen.
Yeah.
The ink is...
Is that a sign?
I don't know what it's a sign of, but the blue ink is pouring out over my right hand.
Right.
And
it should also be
all over my notes here.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It should be pointed out that I think, and you went through some metrics, all of the numbers seem to be pointing towards Gators. It's the Florida-Georgia game, so Georgia's going to win.
Yeah, right. Okay. As I hemorrhage ink here.
Are you okay?
I'm okay. But this is, okay, my notes are a little bluer than they used to be, but good, okay.
Yep.
I'm picking Florida. Maybe that's the sign to go with Gator Blue. You mentioned Georgia's defense, and you're right. They've been okay. But the offense, for my liking anyway, has been way too inconsistent. There's little to no threat of big plays. Jacob Eason, you mentioned a ton of promise and the arm talent. However, he is young, and the line isn't protecting him well. They're also not opening up holes for Nick Chubb and Sony Michel either. I think, given the fact that Florida plays so well defensively, they can hold Georgia down. I say they grind it out with their own line and with Jordan Scarlett. Georgia is okay defensively, but they are young up front. And I think that takes a toll here. So I'm with you. I'm going to go Florida. Neutral site game. What'd you say, 28-14? That feels about right to me.
28-14, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go Florida too. We agree.
We agree. And we also are selling Jacob Eason a little bit short, I would say. He does have a great head of hair. And we should mention that, especially if I can't imagine there's a college football show that exists that does not acknowledge great heads of hair quite the way that we do.
Maybe a backup. Jalen Hurts has the whole Derrick Henry thing going on.
He does have a good, yeah. Like that.
He's got kind of the dreads in a ponytail with the shaved front. Which is
I like Dalvin Cook's head of hair.
Three things going on. Dalvin Cook, okay. We could put him at running back if you want.
Sure.
This is an interesting question, Dan.
Oh, we will come up with our all hair team. Yeah.
So I'm jotting this down with what ink remains in this pen. Eason and Hurts on the two deep at quarterback.
Right.
Dalvin Cook at running back for now. But because we didn't plan this out, as we don't most things on this show, we're going to need to put some more real thought into this. But I'm imagining there have to be a few Odell Beckham cuts out there among the wide receiver class.
You would think.
All right. Well, we'll talk more about this.
Tweet us or email us your all hair nominees.
Jacob Eason, though,
could have had
definitely on this team. Okay.
What's next?
Let's go to another 3:30 game. We got a big one here on ABC. Baylor going into the Hornets' nest, a 3-point favorite in Austin against the Texas Longhorns, Dan. Wow, okay.
It's more like a yoga instructor's nest.
Something like
volume-wise.
I did an interview a couple weeks ago with our good friend Bobby Kern, who's the voice of Hawaii football.
Of course.
And he asked me whether the playoff committee would consider picking a one-loss team, whoever, over an undefeated Baylor. Now, I don't think that will happen. But the question to me was interesting, if only because it underscores the fact that Baylor has essentially been in B-2 stealth bomber mode all season long. Because people, I think, are kind of afraid to acknowledge them.
Yeah.
All right? They're afraid to acknowledge them a little bit. Just because of how bad a PR hit it would be to put them in that big circumstance. I don't know how the committee would react, Dan.
Yeah. I think they will treat Baylor as any other school, but perhaps if Baylor down the stretch struggles and still wins some ugly like 13-10 games, or if anything goes right for you, 19-17, you know, just not great looking games. And it's not like other teams in this playoff conversation. Michigan has some, or at least one low game, sort of an ugly offensive win against Wisconsin. I would say at this point, if Michigan kills everybody but loses barely to Ohio State and Baylor looks ugly down the stretch, to have Harbaugh or Baylor, it may not surprise me to see Michigan get that nod over an ugly Baylor.
It's an interesting question, and I understand why Bobby would ask it. Baylor right now is a team that people are afraid to talk about, and they've been good. They're undefeated.
Yep.
They're favored in this game. I think they're going to win this game, and we'll talk about it momentarily, but there's just a lot of baggage there. So layer that on top of an already complex Big 12 setup, and here we are. Okay, so the S&P Plus actually says that Baylor's defense is better than its offense, which is really, it's a confusing juxtaposition if you followed Baylor football at all over the last 5 years or so. Really, with the exception of that near miss against Iowa State, they have been truly good on defense. I am surprised to see a line this low. They're playing well on offense. They're playing well on defense. It's not like Texas is a program on the rise at this point. If you're picking Texas here, my hang-up is this. You're basically saying that you think they can win. Now, it's not impossible, of course. It's college football.
Right.
But what are you banking on if you're taking that side? It has to be more than just a tough road spot for Baylor or a big home contest for a Texas team maybe looking for redemption. Like, I don't know what I'm hanging my hat on, Dan.
You're hanging your hat on perhaps intangible qualities, that the team is playing for Charlie Strong, that there's a lot of emotion at home, that Texas knows they can beat Baylor. They beat them last year, albeit with an injured 17 quarterbacks for Baylor, and Baylor had to run an alternate system. There is some confidence going in based on this specific matchup. Baylor should be able to run, and that's the weird thing. Baylor is running in defense to win. Hey, it's new. Seth Russell has struggled with accuracy. He has struggled downfield. Not to say that he's been necessarily bad, but certainly looks like a quarterback who broke vertebrae in his neck last year and is still sort of regaining his comfort level playing high-level college football. Texas is they haven't been playing the run all that well. They've been just total garbage against the pass. So if there ever were a team to get Baylor back into a rhythm, the cure for the common offense, or at least passing game, it might be Texas this week. And on top of this, Texas has been largely butt in the red zone in October. So the formula to me isn't necessarily there, especially coupled with some injuries at key places for Texas. I'm going to go with Baylor. I don't think they blow them out, but I still think there are too many ways to win. I'm going to go Baylor here. Let's call it 31-24.
I've got Baylor 55-42.
Okay, bit of a shootout then.
Bit of a shootout here, yeah.
But giving the points.
Yeah, I just have more faith in Baylor if it gets into a track meet. You mentioned pass defense. Does Texas have anyone that can cover KD Cannon?
Alumni, yes.
Yeah, sure.
Aaron Ross, for instance.
Can we bring Quinn Jammer out of retirement? Yeah, and you're right about Seth Russell, and he hasn't been his normal self, but he still is 5th in the nation in QB rating against Power 5 teams. So he is playing off that run and using it to his advantage. The argument you could make if you're trying to go on the Texas side here is that Baylor hasn't played a real defense all year. My counterpoint would be they're not going to play one this week either. So
that's very true.
I'm very hopeful that it's going to work out okay for Baylor here. I think we're going to see a game a lot like the one we saw against Oklahoma and Oklahoma State for Texas. Probably a lot of points, enough to keep it interesting, but Baylor continues on. They keep winning. I'm going to lay the points. I'm going to say 55-42. And let's lock it up.
Wow.
Lock of the week.
Locking up a road favorite is not for the faint of heart. Thankfully, I've stopped caring about whether I'm right or wrong, and I'm just going to get saucy with it here and go Baylor minus the 3.
Yeah, it's tough when Texas basically has to play against two teams in a week, themselves and Baylor, with just the mistakes they've made, with the loss of opportunities. It's unfortunate, and hey, Tom Herman will get this team righted, it looks like.
To quote the wise philosopher, Dr. Seuss, sometimes in life you'll play lonely games too, games you can't win because you'll play against you.
Oh.
From all the places you'll go.
Yeah, thank you for that.
You're welcome. Okay, 3:30, FS1.
This is a good early and afternoon slate. I like this.
Yeah, man. Washington on the road, a 10-point favorite in Salt Lake against Utah. This is a Fox game, as I said. It's a Gus game. A Gus game, if you will. So we know sometimes they get a little weird.
A little heated.
Gus Johnson, our friend Joel Klatt, they'll be on the call. Game day is going to be rolling into Salt Lake as well.
Which, by the way, it's not an ESPN or ABC game, and it's west of the Mississippi, so it must be a pretty significant game.
Proposition bet for you, Dan.
I think I just said day and game and called it Dame, by the way.
What are the odds that independent candidate for president, Evan McMullen, is your celebrity guest picker for this one?
Oh, no. Really? You think that's your call?
I'm just saying, I'm asking odds.
Doesn't game day then have to give equal time?
Well, I mean, I'm assuming at this point that they've extended invites to all the candidates. This isn't a political show. We're not going to draw any kind of political line in the sand here, but I'm just asking. Right. He is a prominent name in Utah currently.
Right.
And you have to imagine if they asked him on that he would say yes.
Yeah, I'm going to go with my pick being Mark Eaton, legendary Utah Jazz center. That I think would make for... Okay. There is never a time when Mark Eaton isn't poignant and timely in our lives. And I think game day would be very smart to have him on.
Just throwing it out there. Let's start here. Utah allows 21 points per game. Mm-hmm. If you assume that they do that, that means they need to score 22 in order to win.
Yes.
Can Utah score 22 points on Washington, Dan? And if so, how?
Well, they have a retiree who is once again going to play running back for them in Joe Williams. And actually, here's the secret matchup that is pretty advantageous for Utah. One, I never love when good teams are protecting something like Washington is with their undefeated record going to Utah. I think that is one of those few places, and it's certainly taken over for Autzen Stadium, but playing at altitude is, I think, trickier than people realize against a good, but albeit beat-up defense. The Utes are pretty beat up on the defensive side of the ball. And Washington has themselves a key injury at a key spot in Joe Mathis, their best pass rusher, and Washington's been secretly a little bit uneven against the rush. Arizona was able to generate some big plays. Oregon, even as they were in garbage time, was able to get loose a little bit. And Oregon State last week was able to at times. Granted, a lot of it is garbage time. But if you are going to pick a weakness and have Joe Mathis out as part of that weakness, that might be it. That said, Washington is so good early on, and Utah's not great early on in games offensively to hang with teams.
Right.
So, outside of last week, obviously. But against decent teams, so we'll say. I like Washington here by a couple touchdowns, but by no means do I think they're going to blow Utah out. I just think that's a near impossible thing to do in Sac Lake City.
Yeah, I mean, Utah's got to dominate the line. Right, if they want to win this one, they've got to use their line and generate pressure and hurry Jake Browning, make him make some bad throws. against a pass defense that's got some playmakers in their secondary. I don't feel confident that they're going to be able to generate enough offense here. Joe Williams was great last week. Mm-hmm. He ain't running for 300 again, Dan. I can tell you that.
I don't believe that will be happening, no.
How good do you feel about Troy Williams throwing at JoJo McIntosh?
His
and
old team.
Our boy Buda Baker, the defensive playmaker.
Yeah.
They're going to scorch this defense? I don't think so.
I don't believe that to be the case. But last week was a good sign that they can score points against talent.
I have not accurately predicted Utah, maybe ever.
Right.
So take this with a grain of salt. I'm going to go ahead and lock up Washington.
Wow.
Double barrel lock this week for me. I am saying 31-13.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to call this a West Coast crock-potting, Dan. You know how Mama Rubenstein does it in Southern California?
This is true.
I don't know how she does it in Southern California, but it was fun to say.
Yep.
Not as prolonged a crock-potting maybe as we see down there in the Deep South in Alabama. But I'm going to say Washington pulls away late, and one of those deals where they're covering pretty much the whole game, they tack one on for good measure late to make it 31-13. So I like Washington here.
I'm going to take Utah just as a rule, not to win this game. I know I said a couple touchdowns better, but I think they just sneak in. It's a 10.5 point game.
10.5, yeah.
I think I'm feeling like 31-21. I just double digits against a good team, double digit dog, a good team on the road. They're my Yako's home dog of the week by half a point.
Whoa!
The Yako's home dog of the week.
By the way, we have the perfect storm here right now. By the way, backdoor cover, as you're saying.
Sure.
So we've got me locking up a road favorite. We've got you not only picking Utah as your home dog of the week, but also predicting a backdoor cover.
Yep.
Damn, okay.
Yeah, I told you. Week 9.
I got to go to break here. I got to pay some bills, Dan. What do you like most about shaving with Harry's?
I guess who's paying us? You know what, Ty? I'm glad you asked this question because when I said that I was not using a straight razor and not using Harry's, I lied. I did not think about it. Yeah, the bottom of my neck, I clean up so I don't have like the stubble going all the way down.
Oh, are you going chin strap?
I do not go chin strap. That's the chin. This is neck-wise, no. I still leave, it's like just above the Adam's apple that I leave sort of stubbly. But below the Adam's apple and around that area, I don't like the neck beard quality of looking like an Andrew Luck weirdo. So, yes, I will take a Harry's razor, and it feels very clean against my skin, and clean that area up. It's
See, the neck area, I think, is the most important area.
100%.
Because if you don't get the crevasses of your neck, Dan, you get a you get a beard of bees down there.
It's true,
and you don't want that. You don't want that. Sometimes if you change your brand of razor or go from straight to electric or vice versa, sometimes you can trigger that hive down there. I did not experience that when I switched from my old name brand razor to Harry's many moons ago. So I'm in a good spot with Harry's right now. That's the area of my face that I'm most concerned about. But they've got a 5-blade razor with a lubricating strip, a softer flex hinge for a comfortable glide. They've also got a trimmer blade for hard-to-reach places.
Yeah, so you like the glide of that lubrication is what you're saying.
I do, baby.
Okay.
And they've got a textured handle, which gives you more grip and control when it's wet. You get all this for $2 a blade compared to $4 a blade that you pay at the drugstore. You can get these great deals because Harry's owns the factory over in Germany where they make the blades. So it's considerably cheaper. And I'm telling you, it's better. I reached out to our friend Adam Kramer when we started doing Harry spots because he and I had discussed shaving before on Twitter, among many other things, but the most notable and important of which was shaving. I'm telling you, it's a good deal. So right now, they are so confident in the quality of their blades, they're going to send you their popular free trial set, which comes with a razor, 5-blade cartridge, and shaving gel. Free when you sign up for a shave plan. All you got to do is pay $3 for shipping. Plus, there is a special offer for fans of the show.
Oh, no.
Yeah, if you enter the code SOLID, SOLID at checkout. I just sold this to someone at the Mysterious Day Job. Her son is a Harry's convert. Wanted to get in on the action. He used the promo code SOLID. He got a free post-shave balm added to his order for free.
Wow, so clean.
Go to harrys.com right now. Enter the code SOLID at checkout. Claim your free trial set and post-shave balm, Dan. harrys.com. Your code is SOLID, S-O-L-I-D.
Do it.
All right, let's go to the nightcap. This is a big game.
I'm looking forward to this game tremendously.
They're all big games in Week 9. If we're talking about them here on the Verbal, they're big games. But ESPN, 7 p.m., Wisconsin playing host to Nebraska. They are at 8.5-point favorite, Dan. Let's talk about the badges for a second, if we could.
Undefeated Nebraska.
Yes.
7.5-point dogs.
Yeah, 7.5, 8.5 I've got on the sheet, but it's more than a touchdown. Wisconsin's been through the ringer this season. They really have. They are a battle-tested team. I feel like they are a known quantity. It also dawned on me during research that we're going to come to a point, if we're still doing the show in 2019, which heaven help us if we are. But if we are, there's, I think, 100% chance that we're going to be talking about redshirt senior Alex Hornibrook.
Is that true? You think so? Okay.
There's no way he's going pro before 2019.
I think he petitions to leave after this year.
Maybe he will. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a chance he's the next Joel Stave.
Okay. Wow. That's one of the rudest things you've ever said about anybody.
But I feel confident that I know what Wisconsin is. Nebraska, however, the jury's still out, man. You know, you look at the numbers here, it doesn't come across as a 7-0 team. Statistically, they kind of look above average. Don't you think?
I wouldn't go that sort of harsh about the Huskers. They're undefeated going into Thanksgiving week, which is a really difficult thing to do. I don't care where you play. I don't care who you play. That is a difficult thing in college football to have week in and week out focus from teenagers, especially playing at a high level. Nebraska offensively has been a little bit uneven. Some struggles running the ball, some struggles with pass efficiency. Are we getting good or bad Tommy Armstrong? But defensively, if you want to keep winning and or not lose ever, like Nebraska has done thus far, it would help to have Nebraska's rush D, which has been very, very good this year. Yeah. And that is an advantageous matchup against what Wisconsin is going to do. And we like to tell people, we didn't at the top of this show, but we like to tell people, oh, here's your window for spending time with your family or running errands or cleaning up, doing some chores around the house. I would say, during this game, so it's a 7 p.m. game, if you want to go run and get a snack from the fridge, if you got to check on something on the grill, if you need a quick bathroom break, wait for Alex Hornibrook to throw a pass and take care of what you need to do, and by the time you're done, that pass will almost have landed because it takes a long time because his arm is not the strongest. I just like explaining it.
If you put Alex Hornibrook side by side with Trace McSorley and ask them to throw a football through a pane of glass, could either do it?
Oh, man. How thick is the pane? Oh, Wisconsin just threw like a 14-yard out to a tight end? I am shocked. And it arrived there slowly. Who could have even?
You're really coming down harsh on Alex Hornibrook, man.
It's more just that's what they do. And they do it really well. But yes, we know what their offense is going to look like. And that's probably the most frustrating thing is Wisconsin executes super well generally to the point where they win much more often than not.
Yeah, I mean, what a ride it's been for them. Michigan, Ohio State, Iowa. All three of those were one-possession games one way or the other. So to some degree, you have to wonder, what do they have left in the tank? Let me shift gears, though, and talk a little bit about Nebraska. You mentioned Tommy Armstrong. I was going through all these numbers, and Tommy Armstrong has been better this year than he was last. In terms of passer rating, for sure, he has been better. If you're looking for a real-world comparison, he's about even with Josh Dobbs in terms of rating against Power 5 teams so far this season. That feels like a pretty good comparison to me. So not great, but better
Easier
than last
defenses,
year.
I would argue.
But better than last year. And you ask yourself then, okay, well, why has he been better? Last year, 16 interceptions. This year, only 5. He's not going to get to 16 unless something goes terribly wrong. Mike Riley has tweaked the offense, and he's put less strain on Tommy Armstrong. His rating's gone up, I think, because he's averaging fewer passing attempts and more rushing attempts. So Mike Riley has tried to use Tommy Armstrong's legs a little bit more. And with that,
and it's a threat. It's a nice threat that when you have to count for that and you have to spy him, that's one more person either not rushing the quarterback or not in coverage. Yeah.
So with that as like a backdrop, I would say we know we're going to get some modicum of solid defensive play from Wisconsin. The fear is that they run Nebraska into the ground, they get a lead, and then they force Tommy Armstrong to turn back into Tommy No Arm from a year ago.
Right.
It's that point at which I think I have zero confidence in Nebraska coming back to win this game, by the precision passing of Tommy Armstrong. Like, that's just not a winning formula. It just isn't. I'm a little afraid that's what happens here because I feel like they can run with Corey Clement. Mm-hmm. We know they're going to try. They're going to get like 15 passing attempts from Alex Hornibrook. They're going to run the down and out with the tight end. That's what they do. Mm-hmm. I like Wisconsin's defense here more than anything else in the game. I think it's the only entity you can really, truly trust and feel good about. However, it's a close game.
So you're taking those points.
I'm taking the points. I think Wisconsin wins at home, at night. I think they keep playing the way they've been playing, winning with defense and a rushing attack. But Nebraska is definitely good enough to keep this one close. I say 2017 Wisconsin in a tight one.
Yeah, I mean, you could make an argument that both of these teams are LRO teams, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Wisconsin with their, fifth straight game against, and listen, I'm not going to consider Michigan State to be all that good, but with Michigan State, Ohio State, Michigan, and Iowa in consecutive game weeks, it's something to consider that Wisconsin just may be running low on gas. At the same time, Nebraska has struggled against some teams, struggled to pull away a little bit against Purdue, got a couple good breaks against Indiana, took a while to take over and beat now what we consider to be a pretty good Northwestern team. They survived a last-second drive against Oregon. So it's been a dramatic year, but they're coming out on top, which is a skill. Winning close games a lot of the time, just not making mistakes, knowing and teaching your players what to do as the clock winds down. So I think I'm also going to take those points. I think the defense is going to travel enough. Yeah. I actually almost word for word agree with you. Agree! I'm going to say, what was your final score? I don't want to have it exactly the same.
20-17. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to say,
could go 21-19.
With that spread, I'm going to say 23-18. How about that?
8? How do you get to 18?
I don't know.
Failed 2-point conversion, maybe?
Something like that. Yeah, 20. Okay. 24-17. How about
late touchdown, failed 2-point conversion to make it 3?
All right.
That happened.
There it is. 23-18.
23-18, man. Stick to it.
Done.
7:15 on SEC Network.
Also, Nebraska gets Jordan Westerkamp back, most likely.
Hey,
that adds a lot of depth. Good for them.
7:15 SEC Network. If you have it. Auburn -4 on the road at Ole Miss, Dan. Ole Miss. Man. What could have been? What could have been? They are giving up 31 points a game. They're terrible against the run. They're losing to good teams, but this is already kind of a throwaway season. Mm-hmm. They're looking at like 6-6, 7-5. At some point, you got to ask, are they playing these games only because they have to?
Man, rough.
I don't know. I'm wondering if they're ready to just move on to 2017 here.
Does that make the line seem strange to you?
Totally.
And that's what worries me about this.
You think this is a somebody knows something kind of game?
Well, it opened up, at like 2.5?
Yeah.
And has moved in the Auburn direction, which is fair. But, okay, so is there any possibility of a letdown? It's an emotional win over Arkansas. Gus Malzahn and Brett Bielema with the pass that they've had. Letdown going back on the road after that huge win. Maybe players feeling a little bit overconfident.
I don't see it. Auburn, look, they've been turning heads lately. They've come into their own. You lose to Clemson and A&M, and everyone writes them off for dead. Mm-hmm. So much so that when they beat LSU fired their coach. Everyone's thinking Auburn stinks.
Right.
Nobody took them seriously. Now, look, they've gotten better in a hurry. They're peaking. I think they win this game in Oxford. I saw the line. It caught me off guard as well. But with the way that they've been running the football, to me, that is a glaring mismatch that favors them in a big way. So I like Auburn here. I think they score like 38 points. I think maybe a late push from Ole Miss, but I'm going to go like 38-24 in favor of Auburn.
Yeah, the matchup is particularly weird as well because Auburn is happy to run the ball a ton and not rely on Sean White at all like they did last week, if that's what the defense is giving them. And Ole Miss's linebackers have been, especially considering the success they've had at linebacker recently, super disappointing this season. Just finding themselves out of position, showing themselves to be sort of fundamentally unsound. And if you are taking bad angles, if you are filling the wrong gap, whatever, Auburn will just kill you with Cam Petway. I'm going to go with Auburn here, 35-28, and I think it's going to be bigger, but the line scares me, so I'm not going to pace it that big. So, yeah, 35-28, War Dam, simple touchdown win.
I was really wrong on Auburn. I could not have been more wrong on Auburn and Sean White, and forever that will haunt me.
And they only lost to good teams.
You lose to who? You lose to A&M? You lose to Clemson? Those aren't bad losses.
No, those are fine.
LSU's a good win, yeah.
Fine losses, Auburn.
And then 8 p.m.
Yeah.
This is kind of the big tamale. There are a bunch of medium-sized tamales, but for my money, this is the big one.
Thanks, Michigan State.
We've got, on ABC, Clemson, 4.5-point road favorite against Florida State, Dan. Can I be honest here?
Please.
With you?
Always.
You know I'm a Florida State Seminole at heart, right?
Absolutely. Down to the bone.
Even after all that abuse I took from FSU Twitter a few years ago.
Yeah.
I had this team in my playoff this year. They are not going to be in the playoff this year.
Doesn't look like
Not going to happen. They're still a top 20 team, though, and I am a believer.
Wow.
I am a believer. All right? Now, we're a self-aware podcast, you know? It dawned on me when I was studying here that I really wanted to pick Florida State, even though everything I saw, literally everything said not to. So I kept trying to rationalize it.
Okay.
And it takes some real gymnastics to get there. I'm not going to lie. All right? If you use the numbers and the advanced numbers and the matchups, the cause for pause here, other than being like our charity for pets, but
love cause for pause.
The cause for pause is that Florida State doesn't have a great track record against the super fast mobile quarterbacking variety. Not this year, not against Lamar Jackson. That was a mess. USF was kind of a mess with Quentin Flowers, I believe. Deshaun Watson, he kind of fits that mold too.
By the way, they killed USF. That should be noted.
They didn't kill him. USF was up on him. They pulled away late, but
yeah.
Our boy Quentin Flowers had a decent game in that game.
Okay.
All right. Now you got Deshaun Watson, ran for 100, threw for almost 300 a year ago. So that's cause for pause, I think, right?
Okay. No, it's not a bad point.
But the line opened at Clemson -3, Dan. That's a weird number.
Line open at Clemson -3. Clemson has been particularly sloppy with the ball this season, especially Deshaun Watson. Even against Louisville, even in their sort of signature win, it wasn't pretty by any stretch. The Tigers are still uneven running the ball, though they were good against the Cardinals. Florida State's pass defense has improved since that North Carolina abysmal performance. And offensively, Florida State, Dalvin Cook has been sort of under the radar, very good, but not, I don't think, on the level we perhaps thought. And some of that is on the offensive line and their struggles. And that's also to be blamed a little bit for the pass game struggling, especially in big moments. Third downs, they're not great through the air. But I think I'm going to go Florida State here. I think I'm going to take the home team in a big game. Clemson's still a little bit too uneven for me. I think Florida State pulls it out behind a big second half. How about that?
Yeah. I'm with you,
I worry, though, about that Clemson front against this Florida State offensive line. That's the thing, but I think Jimbo finds a way to work in a really positive screen game here.
Assuming that Deshaun Watson doesn't go crazy against Florida State, because I'm just worried. I'm worried that they're going to find a way, to do the Lamar Jackson, Quentin Flowers thing with him, and he's going to run for like 150 yards. But, I look at the line, and I know that there was a lot of action on Clemson here because this opened at 3, and now it's at 4.5. And if you look at the numbers, both the ESPN FPI and our friends over at Massey Peabody, they have Clemson as -5 on a neutral field.
Yeah.
Dan, it's not on a neutral field. It is not on a neutral field. Florida State's my home dog of the week.
The Yacos, home dog of the week.
How well do you remember this game from a year ago?
Pretty well, actually. What do you want to know?
Dalvin Cook had
Clemson won.
Had 111 yards on his first 2 carries. They had a lead late in this game. Clemson rose up and took it, but it's not like Clemson's blowing teams out. They're not blowing teams out this year. It's been few and far between these blowouts. We saw Dalvin Cook light it up against Miami. I think he gets it going here against Clemson. My picks have already been a disaster, Dan, so let's go nuts. Let's get crazy. Florida State wins outright. Outright at home, 23-19, of course.
Yeah, I'm going 27-20. Florida State wins it.
So we're agreeing.
We agree.
Damn, okay.
Yeah.
Going out on a high note. Taking Florida State. Yeah. Feeling saucy.
I am feeling saucy, Ty. There are other huge games, though, this week. Not huge, but interesting games.
Okay, go ahead.
Thursday night, Virginia Tech, 3.5-point favorites at Pitt.
Ooh.
I think Virginia Tech has a slow first half against a pretty good Pitt team. Defensively, I'm not in love with Pitt, but up front, they've been very good. Ewan Price is great. Capital G, great. Capital R, capital E, capital A, capital T.
You doing a double J Jeff Jarrett there?
Yes. But I think behind a big third quarter, Virginia Tech takes it 30-23.
So, as you know, we've started putting together our secret garbage list for our secret garbage bracket show that we may or may not do next season with Katie Nolan. Have we talked to her people yet?
I will talk to Katie. We have not spoken to her yet. Things that people like that are actually garbage.
So right now, next to New Year's Eve and camping...
Oh, man. And that's going to be a controversial one.
Music festivals. I'm going to go ahead and pencil in Pat Narduzzi's Pittsburgh defense because they've been dreadful this year.
Do people like them, though?
They like them because Pat Narduzzi's attached to it.
That's fair. Okay.
But they've been real bad defensively. I like Virginia Tech in this game an awful lot, Dan.
Okay.
I do.
Another Thursday night, this time not in the comfort of Lane Stadium.
We've got another Thursday night late game.
Oh, my God.
10:30 Cal at USC. USC now ballooning up to a 16.5-point home favorite, Dan. Sam Darnold, or Sam D. Arnold.
Sam D. Arnold.
Has been a revelation. If you look at Power 5 quarterbacks against Power 5 opponents, his passer rating is 4th. He's only behind Baker Mayfield and Jake Browning and Seth Russell. So
good company.
He's been good. This is going to be a good test for them defensively. I would classify their defense somewhere between decent and average. USC.
Okay. Yeah, they have a pretty high ceiling. There's talent everywhere.
I feel like this is just too many points, though, against a good offense.
Oh, interesting. A beat-up offense still.
Yeah, I'm going to go Cal here plus the points, but I think SC wins.
Oh, I am happy to give these points. Cal is so bad with their defense and getting off the field. That's a particular weakness. Doesn't bode well against Sam D. Arnold and the type of season he's having. If he is able to hold on to the ball, because that's been a struggle, I think he has a nice dual day, both on the ground and through the air. 41-20, USC. The D in Sam D. Arnold stands for, damn, he's actually pretty good.
Damn, okay.
Yeah.
Friday at 7 p.m. I'm not going to profess to know much about the Navy-South Florida matchup. South Florida is favored by 8. I ride with the midshipmen, though. I ride with the midshipmen, so 8 points feels like a lot to me. Give me Navy.
As a Notre Dame fan, you get to see Navy run all over a team at least once a year.
It's going to be really special. That game is going to be special. Mind you, Notre Dame plays both Army and Navy this year, 2 option teams. And with their offense, anything is possible.
Is there a spread in this game?
8 points in favor of South Florida.
All right, I'm going to take those points. South Florida was gashed on the ground last week against our guys, our Owls, Temple. Was it Thursday or Friday night, I think. Owls! They've generally been okay, though, against the run, but Navy themselves, they have been very good against the run. So I'm going to go with the midshipmen here.
Yeah.
Do I like them outright? I think they barely lose. I think they lose by a field goal. So I'm going to say USF wins this 30-27.
I think they barely lose. How about it? Okay. Saturday at high noon. Mm-hmm. Ooh, this is a game. Michigan minus 24 on the road in East Lansing against Michigan State. Michigan State's won 6 of the last 7 times, Dan. Mm-hmm. I think this is the kind of game where Michigan gets up big because they're going to be up big. They're a better team.
Yeah.
They're going to look to score as many points as humanly possible. There is going to be bad blood in this game.
Yeah, Taylor Swift level.
What kind of odds can I get on Jim Harbaugh going for 2 up like 28 points in a game like this?
You'll get great odds about him doing something like that in the way that he challenged a spot on 4th and 2 last week, up however many dozens of points he was up, and Michigan was up on Illinois. I think Michigan is just going to wipe the floor with State. It's going to be like the Wisconsin-Oregon situation where one team is sick of losing a grip of games, and this is the year to fully take advantage. Michigan State they've struggled so much. And I know Tyler O'Connor's had a couple nice games against some of the better teams on the schedule, but man, they can't stop all that much, and Michigan's defense is lights out. So I've been posting these stats, these efficiency stats. Michigan's defense.
People hate you sometimes when you post objective statistical information.
It's very strange, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It's just college football. Michigan's defense is allowing a first down for the season against Power 5 teams 16% of the time on defense, which is a crazy low number. I don't think there's another team below 20%. And this month alone, and it has not been a tremendously difficult month, though they did play Wisconsin, but also Rutgers and Illinois. Michigan is allowing first downs as a percentage of total plays faced on defense 11% of the time, Ty. This is not a good recipe against Michigan State, but even though it's not rivalry week, Ty, what do you do in a rivalry game?
You got to throw out the records, right?
You got to throw out those dang records.
By the way.
Yeah.
We got a tweet.
Yeah, what was this tweet? I couldn't watch the video.
Oh, my God, you didn't see it?
No, I saw that we got a video of it. You got to throw the records out, something like that.
There was a reporter talking about a high school football game. Mm-hmm. I want to say Kansas City, but I have to go back and double check.
We'll verify.
The reporter on air said you got to throw those records out.
Got to throw those.
Got to throw them out.
Did
it's
they play
catching
the sounds?
fire. They didn't play the sound, no.
Well, I mean, throwing the records out is not we don't own that.
No.
We embrace it.
So are you taking Michigan State then if you're saying throw out the records?
Oh, Ty, you have read my mind. If my mind were wrong, if my mind is feeling good, I think Michigan just slaughters them 42-13.
Should we both lock it up?
Double barrel that.
Lock of the week.
Yeah.
Maryland ran the hell over Sparty last week. I just don't see it. Listen, the game's in East Lansing. That's great. You know, people are going to be amped up. A rivalry game, Mark D'Antonio. People sleep on. I'm happy to disrespect Michigan State. If they win this game, I will fully admit how dumb I sound right now because I always sound dumb. So, would love to see it just for entertainment's sake, but it's not happening.
This game is going to be like a good neck crack for Michigan. You know, just they got to get some pent up aggression and pressure off their chests here and just take it to little brother. So
it's the Krusty Burger stop he's already dead kind of game.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Miami. Oh God.
Yeah.
Did I put this on the list or did you?
Okay, one of these teams is disappointing, a traditional power and part of a big rivalry game with this other team, but have disappointed this year after starting off in a potentially promising... Oh, wait, that's both of these teams. That is both of these teams.
It is not both of these teams.
I think Miami has been pretty disappointed.
Yeah, but at least Miami isn't underwater. At least Miami only has, 3 losses as opposed to 5. At least Miami didn't lose to Duke. Notre Dame is a 5-loss team fighting for its life to make a bowl, a bad bowl at that, whichever it's going to end up being. Saturday at 3:30. I'm not sure I'm going to watch this game.
Okay.
Miami.
I think you should.
No, I'm not watching this game.
Face your fears, Ty.
I'm going to go and pick up a new car. The wife and I bought a car.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, we bought an SUV. I'm going to go pick up a car.
Maserati.
Yeah, I'm going to go pick up a car and drive it around.
Okay.
And look at the beautiful fall sights here in Eastern PA. I'm not watching this game. I'll probably end up watching this game.
Ty, do you look at foliage? Do you want to just talk about autumnal things instead of Miami Notre Dame?
If you're giving me the option between this game and, what was that word? Autumnal?
Looking at foliage, autumnal foliage.
Is autumnal a word?
Autumnal, yeah. It's the descriptor of autumn.
If you're giving me a choice between Notre Dame, Miami, historically a great, the Catholics versus convicts matchup. Mm-hmm. If you're giving me an option in any other year between Notre Dame, Miami, and autumnal things.
Not autumnal, Ty. Autumnal.
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 No.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're giving me that choice any other year, I'm picking the game. But this year, I think I owe it to myself and my wonderful wife, who just celebrated a birthday this week.
Nice.
I think I owe it to her to spend some quality time in our new vehicle.
Little bit of apple picking? I've never done that.
I would love to go apple picking instead of watch this crap.
I've had apple cider donuts, Ty, and they are wonderful.
Ah.
Have you ever had an apple cider donut?
No.
Oh, Ty, go out of your way. Find a quaint little orchard upstate New York. I still haven't been. I've only had the apple cider donuts here in the city, but man, I imagine they're excellent, fresh.
I am abstaining from picking this game. It is against my religious values. To pick this game, to care about this game, I need to detach emotionally, if only to exhibit some self-preservation.
Maybe do some bird watching?
I'm down with that.
Okay.
Let's go see a great blue heron, yeah.
Yeah. Get some mini binocs?
Let's do it. Let's go see a ruddy duck. I don't know.
Maybe you and I will.
Yeah, let's see what we see out there.
What game would you like to move on to?
Let's talk about Texas Tech TCU.
Oh, man. Ooh,
if you've got options here at 3:30, and let's say, you're not into Baylor, Texas, or the cocktail party, or Washington, Utah, you got other options outside of Notre Dame, Miami. You could watch Texas Tech TCU. It should at least be a fun game. If you don't care about defense, that's a fun game. You've also got Northwestern, Ohio State, which I think is also a neck crack kind of game for Ohio State, looking to, relieve some pressure. But let's stick with Texas Tech, TCU at home, an 8.5-point favorite, Dan. That seems like a lot of points to me in what I believe will be a shootout.
Oh, yeah.
Where do you stand on this game?
TCU's favored at home, as they should be, and they are pretty average getting off the field with the sort of first down conversion rate. But Texas Tech is the least average. And so I've called this stat, this is just a temporary stat, the GTFO, like get the F out.
Yeah.
When you're watching a game, is there anything more maddening than teams converting, 2nd and 9s for first down, 3rd and 9s, scrambling for 10 yards? You just want the defense to get the F off the field. Get off the friggin' field.
The old 3rd and Van Gorder. Yeah, I'm with you.
The old 3rd and Van Gorder, 3rd and Pelham, et cetera, et cetera. Texas Tech is allowing teams they play in October to convert first downs 38% of the time.
Ooh.
Think about that number, Ty.
No,
nearing 40%. God. So that's right around once every 2.6 plays.
What
Texas
do you even
Tech is
say
giving
to that?
up. Anytime Texas Tech comes up with a stop, it's a mathematical anomaly.
I just want to say I'm sorry.
So Texas Tech, almost to me, if we're going to call a sort of an LRO team like Tennessee was a couple weeks ago, luck runs out. I want Texas Tech to be a BBRO, and that would be bad breaks run out. And I think they are going to beat a pretty flawed TCU team in a shootout, 48-45, and Patrick Mahomes finally gets to exhale after putting up 70,000 yards last week in a losing effort.
I'm going to go Texas Tech plus 8.5.
Because we just want it, right?
We want it, and it's not like TCU's defense has been that great either.
No.
In a shootout, more than a touchdown, I'm going to go Tech here. Why not?
Fair.
I'm rooting for the Red Raiders.
Wee-wee!
The other 3:30 game I made mention of very briefly, Northwestern at Ohio State. Ohio State, 27 points. A favorite here. I believe, and I saw this description of Louisville's wins over on Podcast Ain't Played Nobody. I heard it. They talked a little bit about, Louisville basically killing an animal and bringing it home, leaving it on the doorstep.
Right.
This is essentially what Ohio State's going to do to Northwestern here. They're going to kill them and then bring them back, leave them on the doorstep, and just sort of go about their merry way.
So interestingly enough, for Northwestern, in terms of a matchup against Ohio State, and I understand this line, Ohio State coming off of an emotional loss on the road to Penn State, finally gets to come home to Columbus, and it looks like beat up on what I think we still would say is a decent or pretty good Northwestern team with the way they've turned the season around after losing early to PJ Fleck, row that boat. Northwestern has been very good against the run, and Ohio State makes some questionable play calling decisions as it relates to the run. Northwestern's been not great against the pass, though they do get in backfields. They do, I think, tackles for loss and sacks-wise, and I don't have the Hurries number in front of me, but they are near the top of the Big Ten, which, if you watched the Penn State game last week, feels like an important thing to be if you were going to challenge Ohio State. I'm not a big believer in the way that I was a few weeks ago in this Ohio State team after the Oklahoma game. I'm going to take those points with Northwestern.
Whoa.
I don't think it's particularly close. I think it's going to be a backdoor cover, but I have this at 38-20 Ohio State.
Backdoor cover. I'm going to go Ohio State like 55-10.
I don't know if I see it this year with them. JT Barrett, especially in sort of obvious passing downs, is worse than he was a couple years ago. Significantly.
All right. Finally, I put this one on just because you mentioned it on the show last time. But Saturday, 7 p.m., Boise, the Broncos, a 13.5-point road favorite at Wyoming. Why do you like Wyoming again?
I love me some Craig Bowl.
Yeah.
Tom Osborne guy, not Jim Tressel guy, got that wrong, was corrected by an astute listener. Wyoming has been good lately since starting the season off slow. I think they got killed by Nebraska, and that's okay. That'll happen. Nebraska's a very talented, a good team. Boise State coming off of an emotional, weird win at home, a 1-point win against a pretty good BYU team. Ty, Wyoming, they've struggled a little bit on defense this year. Rushdie has been good lately. Why don't we take the rest of our time to talk about Brian Hill? Averaging 7 yards per carry in October. Ty, what do you know about B. Hill? Besides the fact that he coached the San Antonio Spurs for a spell. It's just a weird topsy-turvy career, I know, but he's been doing a wonderful job for the Cowboys.
Okay. So you're going to go Cowboys plus, 13.5?
Yeah, plus 14.5. Absolutely. Boise State wins this game by 10. Absolutely. 27-17, Wyoming covers.
All right, I'll do it too.
Double barrel.
That's all I got, Dan.
Few more games, Ty. I know it seems like this is everything, but if I could request, will you please, Ty, focus that finger and drop that creamy, whimpering, sumptuous, full-bodied drum and fife.
See, now, was that so hard to not use a terrible,
what is the worst word that I've used? What is the worst? What is the most cringeworthy word?
I'm not even going to repeat it on the air.
Do you like supple?
Supple's fine. You've used supple before. Creamy
Sticky?
was getting there.
Okay.
But it didn't cross the line.
I feel like the height of it has been squirting.
Don't. I told you, I'm not going to say it on the air anymore.
I feel like that is where things turned over. Okay. The Nellies of Bucknell traveling down to one of my favorite towns in America, Charleston, to play Charleston Southern. Strong thoughts here.
No.
I think Bucknell is going to... is Charleston Southern good?
I have absolutely no idea. I was just going to look
up the Southies. I'm going to take the Nellies, Ty. I think the Pat League travels. We know this because they play so many international games that they're used to this kind of traveling below the Mason-Dixon line.
Right,
I'm going to go with Bucknell here. What about you?
I'm looking up FCS rankings right now, and at quick glance, I'm not seeing Charleston Southern.
So Charleston Southern lost 52-8 to Florida State on September 10th. That is what immediately comes up.
Actually, I'm taking it back. They're ranked 9th in FCS, so let's go Charleston Southern.
Oh, man. Okay. We disagree.
Got to admire the Nellies, though, scheduling tough out-of-conference opponents.
Your two biggest Pat League schools, Fordham and Lehigh.
Yeah.
Are they atop the standings?
They both are. They're both putting up a ton of points in the Pat League.
I believe they're both undefeated in conference.
Yep. Lehigh
the Rams.
Lehigh is 24th.
Wow.
In the latest
Go
FCS
Engineers.
coaches poll.
So the Rams, the one true team of New York, and Lehigh, the one true team of the Lehigh Valley.
Yep.
This year.
Gotta go Lehigh. I gotta go Lehigh.
So this is, man, two trains.
This is us.
Yeah, this is our matchup. I'm going Fordham. I disagree. I'm rolling with Buffalo Chicken Tony Reale.
All right. 12:30. We've got Georgetown at Lafayette, Dan.
Yeah, traveling away from the friendly confines of multi-sport field. Lafayette a down year. Ty would not be unfair to say that, but here is the week that I feel like Lafayette rights this ship, gets into 2017 with some mo. I'm going Leopards by 6 points.
I am going to go Georgetown here. Lafayette's terrible this season.
We have the Gators of Holy Cross. We have the Gators hosting Holy Cross, of course, Colgate at 1 p.m. So people are going to be riled up in whatever city Colgate is located.
They're going to be drinking all night.
It appears they're located in Hamilton Village.
Hamilton Village.
Township of Madison County, New York.
Madison County, wow.
Is that like the bridges of Madison County?
It could be.
I do not know. It might be worth looking up, but we'll never know unless you look it up. So I'm going to go with the Gators here.
I'm going to go Holy Cross. Why not?
You don't just go into the Gator Dome, Ty.
I want that.
You got to learn this by
bobblehead.
now.
I want that bobblehead.
We got to get that bobblehead.
I don't think Holy Cross is going to be doing their bobblehead giveaway
on the
at
road.
Colgate. An away giveaway would be a little bit different, but
would be odd.
I ride with the Crusaders once and for all.
Quick list of thank yous. Neil Ballew, Ballew. Ty, what are we thinking that's pronounced like?
Baloo?
Baloo, like Baloo the bear from the Jungle Book?
Okay.
I hope so. Jason Horvath, we've thanked him before. He's worth thanking again. Ken Greeley. We love Ken Greeley, Ty.
We ride with Ken Greeley.
Emphatically. I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I would not go that far. Luke Coley, Caroline the Crusader, and sorry, Caroline. I apologize. I'm going with Colgate here. Matt Pergo, Gunnar Hellman. Very nice things to say on Twitter. Thank you for the compliments, Gunnar. Great name, too. Elliot Terfinko, another great name, and Corbin Dog, because I don't assume that's his real name, but I like pretending it is.
It should be.
And Ty, of course, we ride. Oh, we ride with Brandon McKissick.
We got a question about that, by the way.
Yeah, we are not on the same horse. It's more like we ride with him like we would ride with him into battle. You know, we're each a member of the cavalry.
We had a gentleman ask us, he hears one horse, and he was concerned for the horse that maybe there were three of us piling on top of said equine.
It's the horse representing the cavalry that is the solid verbal thing.
It's a cavalry of verballers.
It's a cavalry of verballers.
Brandon McKissick rides. He leads the cavalry.
I'm just now realizing, Ty, because my fiance is a very fragile human. She's allergic to the world. Allergic to tree nuts, allergic to all seafood, shellfish included. Also allergic to a number of animals, horses included, Ty. So I that's the transition here. You see pictures when people go to tropical locations, riding the horses on the beach.
I did
going into the water a little bit.
I did it. I rode a horse in Jamaica.
Is this in Jamaica?
Into the
on
Caribbean.
Your honeymoon?
Yeah, I had a horse named Carl who tried to throw me off into the sea.
Was it into the ocean?
Yeah, the whatever they call the apparatus that keeps you attached to the horse, it broke. He literally broke it.
So you're thinking of a harness here.
I was riding bareback, dog, in the Caribbean with Carl the horse, who wanted no part of me.
International waters. So were you on the same horse? Were both you and the solid wife Kate both on Carl?
No. Kate had a very serene and tranquil horse. I had a horse that obviously was some sort of Florida State fan trying to kick me off.
Jamaican Carl.
Yeah.
Because it was a beach scene, were you in like bathing suits?
I was in swimming trunks, yeah.
Were you wearing a shirt?
I believe at that point I was wearing some sort of cutoff shirt situation because we had done a trail with the horse. We came down out of the hills and directly into the sea, yeah. So I had a shirt on.
That's very like romance novel cover of you, Ty.
It was a little bit, yeah. Not going to lie.
Yeah, beach scene on a horse in the water. I mean, Carl notwithstanding.
Yeah.
I remember looking, Ty, and I'm sure you did this too before we let the fine people go. I remember looking at the SI swimsuit issue from the 90s. I don't know if you know where this is going.
I know exactly where this is going.
And I don't remember if a model was wearing a bathing suit on a horse or was fully nude and just using the horse to cover up sensitive areas.
I remember the covers.
It seems like a risky proposition. And nothing against horses and our equine listeners, if they exist. But it seemed like that would be my 750,000th choice on how to ride a horse. Yeah. Fully nude. It just does not seem like the thing. Like, I would look at that and I would not say that is a sexy woman. I would say, I really hope she does not have a rash later on today.
Yeah. 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 The horse hair is a little abrasive, Dan. Not going to lie.
It's abrasive. It is. So, wow. Hey, glad to know you did. I will never be doing that. I will never have that experience.
Yeah. Well, it was a bit harrowing. I'm not going to lie.
So did Carl toss you into the water or no?
He tried. I was holding on and I was yelling, "Yo!" Yeah, I was yelling at the guy.
Whoa, Carl.
I was yelling because they were pulling. The horse did not want to go through the water. I felt bad for the horse. I was terrified that I was going to be thrown and kicked and stampeded to the bottom of the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. And that those would be my final moments on Earth. But ultimately, I felt bad for the horse. I didn't feel like the horse wanted to do it.
Yeah. So you were trying to control an aggressive horse bareback.
I was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
I live to tell the story too on the Solid Verbal.
All right.
So look, here is one bit of programming.
Oh, what do we have?
One bit of programming notage for you. Mm-hmm. This weekend, I don't know what you want to do. Our good friend Taylor will be unavailable to do reverbs this weekend.
Okay.
And for reasons that I will discuss on our Sunday show, I assure you, I will probably not be available to do reverbs at the, crack of dawn like I would normally have to if Taylor were unavailable. Right. So we have two options. Actually, we have three options. The first option would be to scrap the reverbs altogether, but I feel like people need reverbs as a means of catharsis depending on what's going on in their world. So
What do you have going on Sunday morning? Is this your underwater aerobics thing?
I'm not going to tell you what's going on.
Okay.
I will tell you later. I promise. Okay. The second option would be to have reverbs, to have people call in, and we will compile those and play those as part of our Wednesday show, or maybe release them kind of on the Facebook or Twitter feed somewhere separately as just kind of like an addendum.
Right.
The third option would be if there are any enterprising verballers out there who want to sacrifice their entire Sunday morning to compile these and put them together for us in whichever format they see fit. I'd be willing to put that on the table as well. So we've got a variety of options here. I haven't thought this through. I'm sort of spitballing here in real time. Do you have a preference?
Is there a possibility, and I don't understand how technology works, could we set up some kind of phone number that people could just text and we could read them aloud?
Ooh, you could use the same number.
And will we receive text messages to that number?
We will. Remember, some guy was texting dong shots to it one time.
That's the same. I didn't know if that was the same number. Okay.
Yeah, you can use the same number, 408-VERBAL-1, and text us too.
Oh, okay. So that would be much easier on our end to just compile 25 texts.
Okay. We can do that.
So this week, text 408-VERBAL-1. One
time only. You can text us at 408-VERBAL-1. Good idea, Dan.
Hey, listen, I'm here for the ideas.
408-837-2251. That's 408-VERBAL-1. Mm-hmm. Send us text messages. This is going to get dicey.
No genitals.
Yeah, please don't. We're not
Zero
in that
genitals,
business.
Please.
We don't want that. But send us text messages and let us know what's on your mind.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I got, Dan.
I'm plumb out.
Enjoy your weekend, okay?
Hey, you too. Who are you watching games with?
I am not sure yet.
Oh, you're killing me here.
I'll tell you why a little later.
Okay.
All right? Just keep a lid on this for a couple more days.
I'm watching with Mark Eaton of the Utah Jazz because I feel good about having that hometown guy.
For that guy over there, Dan Rubenstein, from myself, Ty Hildenbrandt, thanks again for sharing your week, your weekend, your college football ether with us. We will be back on Sunday morning to break down all of Week 9. In the meantime, for that guy over there, for myself, Ty Hildenbrand, thanks again for tuning in. Until Sunday, stay solid.
Peace.